This movie is so underrated and the ending is so fucked up and dark. Let's do it. Summer of 84 is about this group of friends. They're 15 years old. So our main character is Davy, and he's the paper boy in their neighborhood. And we have Faraday, Woody, and Eats. So Davy's on his paper route and he runs into Wayne Mackey, one of his neighbors who's also a cop. He ends up going in to help him with something and sees all these pictures on his wall and makes a comment like, oh wow, you have so much family. Meanwhile, we see on the news and in the papers that there is a serial killer on the loose and he has killed at least 13 boys. And all of the murders / disappearances have happened in or around Cape May, which is the town that they live in. So the boys are having a typical 80s summer. They're hanging out in their treehouse. They're talking about girls, specifically Davy's neighbor Nikki, who used to babysit him, who he's in love with. And they often play a lot of Manhunt. While they're playing Manhunt one night, Davy looks in Mackey's window and sees this boy Dusty that he knows. But he just kind of carries on. Later on, the news reports that the local newspaper received an anonymous tip from somebody claiming to be the Cape May killer. And then Davy sees that boy Dusty turns up missing on a milk carton. And he immediately starts to suspect Mackey. So Davy tells his friends, but it turns out Davy is like a huge conspiracy theorist. So they all kind of are like, yeah, you're fucking crazy. This is another one of your crazy theories. But ultimately, they decide to help him stake out Mackey. Meanwhile, Davy and Nikki start growing closer and he learns that her parents are divorcing and she's going to be going away to college soon. Anyway, the boys start spying on Mackey. They get his daily routine down pat. And they discover that he's buying like hundreds of pounds of dirt weekly for his garden. And every night at 11 p.m. he goes out for these late night jogs. Who the fuck does that? Man's obviously a psycho. Some time goes by and the boys can't find any solid evidence, so they decide to plant a walkie-talkie outside one of his windows. They continue to stake him out and they discover that Mackey actually has a storage room. And in that storage room, they find canisters of sodium hydroxide. Faraday, being the nerdy one of the bunch, knows that that is used for like disintegrating roadkill. They also find a blood-stained shirt in Mackey's shed, and it was the same shirt that Dusty was wearing when Davy saw him in Mackey's house. So now Davy's like, okay, we have enough evidence to go to my parents and tell them what's going on. So the four of them go and confront Davy's parents and tell them everything, but the parents are just immediately outraged. They do not believe a fucking word of it. In fact, they force the boys to march over to Mackey's house and apologize to him and tell him everything. They ask him about the boy in his house, and Mackey says that was actually his nephew, who's from out of town and was staying with him at the time. And ultimately, the boys apologize and Mackey forgives them and says no hard feelings. And Davy is grounded. The next day, Davy's home because, again, he's grounded, and Mackey shows up. And Mackey's like, I feel really bad that you got grounded for this, but if you still don't believe me, I am willing to call my nephew to prove that he was the one in my house. So Davy brings Mackey the phone and he dials a number and nobody answers, and then Mackey again apologizes and leaves. But Davy dials back the operator to ask what the last number dialed was from the house, and turns out it was Mackey's number. He dialed his own number. So Davy tries to tell everyone, but immediately loses all credibility because the news reports that the Cape May killer has been arrested. And the person who arrested him? Wayne fucking Mackey. But Davy, of course, is still not convinced. So he makes a plan with the friends, including Nikki, to break into Mackey's house the next day during the Cape May festival because they know he won't be home. So Davy, Woody, and Nikki go to Mackey's house while Faraday and Eats go to the festival. While at the festival, Faraday sees that the dirt that Mackey was buying was being used for some like beautification process for the town. So he calls Eats on the walkie-talkie and is like, dude, this is bullshit. It's not Mackey. Fuck this. And they leave. Meanwhile, these three break into Mackey's home, Woody with a video camera, and they go down to the basement where they discover a bedroom, and they deduce that the bedroom was Mackey's childhood bedroom. In the bedroom in the basement, they find a door. When they go through that door, sure enough, they find photos of Dusty as well as his decaying body in the bathtub. And they turn around to see another missing boy still alive but chained on the floor. So they take the boy and they get the fuck out of the house. But as they're walking, Davy re-looks at that wall of pictures that he commented on in the beginning. And he realizes that these are not pictures of Mackey's family. They are pictures of Mackey's victims. And Davy's photo is on the wall, meaning he was gonna be next. The next shot shows them with their parents at the police station, and the police are watching the footage that they got from the basement. And they're like, put an APB out on Mackey, let's get this motherfucker. So Woody goes to stay at Davy's that night, all is well. I forgot to mention, earlier on we learned that Woody's mom is an alcoholic. So we saw a scene of her like on the couch with bottles in front of her crying. Woody puts her to bed. Obviously he really is worried about her, really cares for her. So Davy and Woody go to sleep that night. And I wish I could say this was the end of the movie, but oh no, it's not. Because we see Mackey in the middle of the night come out of the fucking attic. He's been hiding in the fucking attic of Davy's home. And he kidnaps Davy and Woody in their fucking sleep. They wake up in Mackie's car in the middle of the woods. He lets them out of the car and tells them he wants to play a game of manhunt and makes them run into the night. So the two of them flee, but they have no fucking idea where they are. And they quite literally fall into Mackie's body dump. There's a bunch of like skeletons and shit everywhere. At one point, Woody looks at Davy and he says, "I can't die tonight. My mom needs me." And that's going to be so much worse when you find out what happens next. Davy tries to create a diversion because he tells Woody, like, "I got you into this mess, I'm going to get you out of it." But Mackie knows what he's doing. So he slices Davy's Achilles tendon and goes after Woody. And sure enough, he slices Woody's throat and he dies. Oh, his poor mother. And then Mackie corners Davy. And he tells Davy, "I want to kill you, but that's not good enough. You've already spent so much time thinking about me. I want you to think about me for the rest of your life. I want you to look over your shoulder every day, wondering if I'm going to be there. And one day, you're going to be right." And he throws him to the ground and drives away. Davy ends up making it to a road and he's eventually rescued, and we see him wake up in the hospital. Sometime later, he returns to his neighborhood and he's passing by all the houses. He sees that Woody's house has been foreclosed. He passes a car that Nikki is in as she's driving away to college. He bikes by Faraday and Eats, who just look pissed and don't even fucking look at him. And he bikes by Mackie's house that is sealed off with caution tape. Davy takes a newspaper out of his bag and the headline is that the Cape May killer is still at large. And the movie ends with a voiceover by Davy saying, "Even serial killers have neighbors." R.I.P. Woody.